Okay, so everyone has an agenda sheet, or at least I hope you do. On the agenda, as always, we provide a lot of white space. You can write down any questions that you have as we go through things today, so feel free to mark up your agenda and ask us. If it's a small question you have, feel free to ask as we're presenting. If it's a larger question or something more pertinent just to your own needs or something that may take a little more time, ask it at the end. We're going to hopefully save about 10-15 minutes for questions at the end, so it's going to be fair game on Google Sites or any other Google Apps product. If you want to ask, we'll take any kind of questions like that. For those who haven't been to any of our classes, we are a local computer repair company called FireLogic. We're based out of Park Ridge, but we service Niles, the entire Chicago suburban area. If you ever need any computer support, feel free to give us a call. We offer a Niles Library discount, so all you have to ask for when you call, and that entitles you to 10% off your first service with us. I want to quickly just go through some of the upcoming classes that we're offering, because we have some exciting new things that we're going to be doing towards the end of this year and early 2013, and I think some of these things will really be interesting for a lot of people. So on the back of the agenda sheet, we marked down the things that we have coming up, and I'll put it up on the screen here. Coming up very shortly, in just a little over 2 weeks, we have if you didn't get a flyer, it's at the front door. It's a free computer recycling event that we're doing. So you have any old computer equipment, working or not working, doesn't matter. Any monitors that you want to get rid of, old smartphones, anything related to the computer as well. Printers, old toner or ink that you don't know what to do with. We will take all of it at this event. So it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, November 3rd. It's at the Park Ridge Presbyterian Church. They have a large parking lot on the east side of their property, and we will be there that entire time, taking equipment, helping you get it out of your car, whatever you need to recycle. Just be aware we're not taking other electronics, home electronics, or home appliances, or batteries, or light bulbs, some of the things that the community events do, just because we're limited on space and manpower. So it's only computer-related equipment as is listed on the flyer here.
But computer batteries.
Computer batteries, yes. Laptop batteries, yes. Old battery backup devices for your desktop, we'll take those, but not like car batteries or AAA batteries in a box. So just be aware of that. And one of the biggest things about getting rid of your old computer equipment properly is that starting in 2012, it's illegal to toss out computer equipment, monitors, that kind of stuff in the garbage. If you do, the trash company's not supposed to pick it up because that is illegal now. So recycling your equipment is a necessity in the state of Illinois, and we're making it that much easier for everyone. And a lot of people ask me what's going to happen to my data that's on the old computer. If you drop it off at this event, we're going to handle the destruction of the data on your hard drive properly, the same way the U.S. government does. So we do a full government grade security wipe on it, so there's going to be no social security numbers, bank account numbers flying around. It'll be wiped before it gets handed to the recycling company. Okay? Some of the other things we have coming up, our monthly event at Park Ridge Library, Open Help Desk, is going to be on Saturday, November 10th at 9 a.m. to noon. And actually, because of the large demand that we have at Park Ridge Library now every month, it's almost a line waiting out the door for tech help. I asked Ruth if we can do the same event here at Niles. She had welcome arms for us, so we're gonna start and see how an open tech help event is gonna work over here. So that it's not on the calendar on the sheet, but that's gonna be in late February, if I'm not mistaken, Ruth. So late February, you can check the Niles Library website. We're gonna have open help desk starting over here at Niles. And what that is, you can come in with any computer questions. Doesn't have to be Google Apps, doesn't have to be e-reader related. Anything in the world of computers or internet, you can come in. Probably be Wesley or myself or both of us, and we'll answer anything you toss at us free of charge, okay? We have a new class that we're starting because Windows 8 is coming out at the end of this month. All new laptops that you buy after October 26th are going to be preloaded with new Windows 8. It's a radical different experience for a lot of people, so we're going to be showing everyone the ins and outs of that new operating system, how to use it. So if you get anything at Christmas time, or you're planning on getting a new laptop or a machine, we're offering both a class here at Niles, at Park Ridge, and then we'll be rerunning the Windows 8 class in late January for any Christmas buyers that got themselves a new machine and don't know what to do with it. So 3 of those. And then in December again at Park Ridge we have Open Help Desk starting back up. So a lot of fun stuff. This is the Google Sites class. This is the last class in the Google Apps series. If you've been through us from start to finish, we started off with Gmail, we went to Calendar, we did Google Docs last month, and now we're finishing off with Google Sites. Starting in 2013, we're going to be reformulating some of the way that we do things with the Google Apps class, and we're probably going to be condensing some of the material and covering multiple products in one class session, and we're going to be focusing more on how you can apply it to your personal work life. So we've done a lot of nuts and bolts classes, and seeing that all these are recorded on YouTube already, they're accessible by everyone. There's no need to beat a dead horse year after year with this. We've showed everyone how to use it. We're going to start showing everyone a little bit more with what the power is with these Google Apps products. All right. And we're also planning on doing a class involving Google Plus and Google Hangouts in early 2013 as well. So if you're interested in the Facebook alternative, we're going to hopefully have a class on that in either January or February. Okay. I didn't even introduce ourselves yet. So sorry, I just got so many things I want to go off in my head. And Google Sites is our largest class in terms of content, so we're going to be going right up until noon or even after 12 for those that are willing to stay. So we have a lot to cover. I'm Derrick. I am the founder and owner of FireLogic, and Wesley here is my colleague. He's our lead web developer. He handles all of our major website projects at the company. We're both Google Apps certified, so Google put a stamp of approval both on us doing training on this product and also deploying the Google Apps product for companies and educational institutions. So we do a lot of work with Google Apps. It's probably one of our biggest sources of projects that are going on today. There's a lot of businesses moving to it, a lot of school districts are moving to it, and the demand is just very high. So we are fully in the cloud, and we're working with this product on a weekly basis. So today we hope to share with you some of the knowledge that we have based around how to use Google Sites. It's a very fun, relatively easy to use product to get a website going for whether yourself or your small business that you have, or even between just a few family members. The power of Google Sites is quite extensive, and we're going to go through it step by step. So just a quick agenda for how this class is going to run today. We're going to go over some of the basics of Google Sites. I've also added in a little more information about how a website works. A lot of people come to our Google Sites class, and the biggest problem that we see is there's a misconception. A lot of people don't know how a website works. They don't understand the concept of a website. We all use Google and Facebook and Gmail on a consistent basis, but we don't know how that looks in the cloud. So I'm going to give a little 1,000-foot overview of how a website is structured, so that when you go and start building your own website, you know exactly what you're working with, and that it's not a static document or a Word document. It's actually a living, breathing creature on the web. So we'll go over a little bit of that. Some of the design aspects, how to edit your Google site, how to share your Google site. Google Sites has intricate and built-in sharing features that allow you to have almost an unlimited number of people work on the same website as you're working on. So it's not like you're the only one with control. You can give it out to colleagues or family members that want to work on it as well. And there's some other options and some of the menus that are there. We're going to hope, I don't know if we'll touch on this too much, but we'll just briefly describe what it takes to get your my.com, your own website name connected to your Google site. It's what a lot of people want to do. If you're building a website, you want to have your own personalized, what's called a domain name connected to it. And then I'm going to show off what some other companies have done with Google Sites to show you that this product actually, is pretty powerful, and you can make some nice websites out of this. All right. So first things first. Well, actually, before we get to that, I want to ask, every time we do this these Google Apps classes, we have a different crowd of people, and I just want to get a feel for what it is that you came here for, what it is that you want to learn from Google Sites. Is there a particular purpose or something that you're interested in specifically about the product that I can address or Wes can address as we're going through this? If there isn't, we'll go through exactly what's on the agenda, but we want to cater as best we can to who's here.
I'm a librarian in Park Ridge School, elementary school.
Okay.
And one of my colleagues is here as well. She's
Okay.
in middle school, so I think we're probably both here for the same reason, to develop a page for our students to use.
Okay, so perfect. We're going to go through exactly how to do that from start to finish. So this is 64, I presume.
Yes.
I know you guys just went Google Apps
We did.
all in this last summer, so that's good. You guys will have all the tools that I'm going to be showing off here. So, anyone else, or is everyone else here just for the ride? Here for the ride. All right.
I'll go through. I'm the tech coach over at Emerson. So I have my site up on Google Sites, and then I'm looking to help my staff try and figure it out.
Okay.
So the best way that I find to learn how to teach it is to sit in a room with somebody else teaching it to kind of find out, like where are all the pitfalls and what are the questions that are going to be asking before I have to do that. So, not to put any pressure on you.
Okay.
But that's my job.
Well, that's
why
fine.
I'm here.
That's fine. That's because you're going to be a go-to person for other colleagues at your work. So that's perfect place to be here today. Go ahead.
I'd like to build a web page for my partner and myself. We have a musical application.
Okay. So we can just build a simple website and connect a mybusiness.com address to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So first things first, we didn't go over this before when we did Google Sites. We jumped straight into how to make a website, and that confused a lot of people because a lot of people don't understand what goes into a website. So I want to give everyone a quick overview of both how the structure of a website looks and also what is entailed within a web page. So when you go to Facebook or Google or Microsoft.com, what you're looking at, you can understand what goes into the structure of that particular page. So what we have here on the screen is a basic website overview. It's as simple as I could find on the web. There's a lot of advanced drawings out there for all these geeky web developers, but I found one that's really easy to understand for everyone here in the room. So what this is showing here is the different levels that go into, or the tree that goes into how a website is structured. So as we can see, this entire thing here is a website. It's what we call a website. But when you look at a website, you're only on one particular page at a time. So you land, say, on Google+, you're ending up here on the home page. It's a single page. You don't see all the other pages that are there, but look at here. We have a tree structure that goes down even further. So if I go to some other page on the site, I'm landing even deeper. And there are other subpages. So we have main sections, and then we have subsections, and you can go as deep as you want. You can go a sub of a sub of a sub. Obviously, the more complicated you get, the more upkeep there will be, but it all depends on your needs. If you're making a small business website, you want to go over everything that your company does, you would have a home page, you would have a subsections for the different main areas, a contact us, about us, services we provide, and then you dig down even further, details on all the different aspects and maybe auxiliary pages that provide more information. So you can see that when we talk about a website, it's not just a single sheet of paper. It's much more than that. It's multiple levels of sheets of paper. And when we create a website, we're making those multiple pages one by one. And that's what Google Sites allows us to do. It allows us to start off with a home page and build our way down deeper and deeper. Okay, so if you think about a modern website like the Wall Street Journal or Microsoft.com, their structure, if you looked at the tree of how their website looks, it'd be thousands of levels long, thousands of, probably millions of pages by now. Those are large websites, but understand when you're making a website for school purposes or business purposes, you're not going to be that complicated, that in depth. If you have something like that, you're going to have a shopping website or similar. But for a basic site, you're going to definitely have a home page, a few main pages, and then probably you're going to stop at a level like this unless you have a little more information to provide. But you probably won't be going more than 3 or 4 levels deep for yourself. Okay? Does that help give everyone an overview of what goes into a website? Because last time we did a class, everyone thought that one page, the home page was the entire website, and that's what I wanted to help dispel the myth about. So and then when we look at a particular page itself, one single page on the website, for example, this could be the home page. And this just provides the overview of all the different parts of a given page that we're going to work on within our Google site. So the blue here is our container. That is basically what encapsulates the website as we see it. When you go to the Wall Street Journal and it has borders around it, that is the encapsulation. That's the container of the site. There are some changes you can make to that in Google Sites. A logo, you generally have a logo somewhere at the top or the left-hand corner over there. Navigation. Navigation is what allows us, and generally in Google Sites, it's either going to be on the left-hand side or at the top of our website like that. Navigation allows us to get to different places on our website. It's probably the most important thing in regards to how a website works, because if people can't get to other places on your website cleanly, what's the purpose of making a website? You might as well just make a long Word document and give them that on a sheet of paper. So the big benefit about making a website within Google Sites is that you can link to multiple different pages in an orderly fashion. So organization is something that a lot of people have a tough time grasping their head around, but once you give it a try, it becomes fairly easy after the first or second attempt. Our content. So for example, if you're reading a news article on the Wall Street Journal and you came across the actual article, that's what's considered our content area. It's where we're going to put our pictures, our text, any references that we want to make to other places. It's the meat. It's the it's the meat and bones of what we're going to actually show our visitors on our website. And then some people decide to put in a footer. A footer is a common element on most pages on a site. If you go to a business website like our website, FireLogic.net, you'll see a common footer that has links to all the main pages on our site. It has our contact information there. So wherever a person is, they'll always know the basics of how to get to different places within our website, and also our primary contact info. And that's up to you. You don't have to do it the same way. It's fully, it's customizable to your needs. But you have to think of, what is it that someone would have to see or know wherever they are on my site. And then white space is all the space that isn't used on a website. So all these open areas here. There's a fine balance, and Wes can speak to this more as he's the web guy at our company. But you always want to have a balance between your white space on your site and the content and what you have going on the site. Because if you have too much, if this is all filled up, it becomes like a jumble. It looks like you threw up on your website. But if you have too little, there's too much white space, it begs the question, well, what is your website, what purpose does it provide? You have nothing here to show off. And this is, a problem that we address when we work with people on websites is that, some people think that they're just going to say, hey, I want a website, and say, okay, toss some together for me. But, there comes the question of, okay, where's the content? What do you want to display on your site? What kind of pictures do you want to use? What kind of pages do you want? That's something that is truly up to you. No one can answer that question better than you can. Okay, so those are some of the common elements that go into any page on your website, not just the home page. Okay, so now we'll get into the how-to. How do we do this? So everyone on your laptop or computer, you should be at sites.google.com. You might have signed in already with your Google account, your Gmail, or your Google Apps account. Is everyone able to get past that at least? Everyone signed into the area within Google Sites? Two quick things I wanted to show you really quickly. Some people ask us, well, how good can a Google site look? And these are actually two examples of company websites that are on the web today, much nicer than our own company website, which is on Google Sites. This is a Canadian IT company that does a lot with Google, obviously, but their own website is a Google site, as you can see, very clean. You would never know that they're using a free product to make their website. Interlock IT, and this is a pastry shop from Europe. I don't exactly know where they're located, but they're also using Google Sites. So as you can see, there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of things that you can do with your site. You can get as fancy as you like, but your imagination is the only limitation that you have and the amount of time you're willing to put into your website. But you can definitely do whatever you'd like. So I'm going to sign into our training account to get started here. So everyone's already done this. Okay. So no one probably does, you probably don't have any pages listed here under Google Sites. You probably have a blank area because you didn't make a website yet, right? So if you want to make a new site, very easy. There's a create button on the left-hand side. So if you want to follow along, go ahead and click on create. And as soon as you do that, we're going to be presented with a few options. And I'm going to go through these one by one. They allow you to go ahead and choose a template for your website right off the bat. Now realize that you don't have to be tied to this template. If you want to keep it, that's fine. If you want to apply a template later, that's fine. Just realize that whatever you choose now, you can definitely change later down the road. So they have a blank template that you can use if you want to start totally from scratch on a blank piece of paper and make it from the ground up what you wish it to be. Just realize that's going to take the most time because there are a lot of aspects that go into everything that I showed off on the screen in terms of elements of a site, and you're going to have to customize your colors and everything, but some people like doing that, so I'm not going to dissuade you from doing that if that's what you choose. But I want to show everyone what the gallery provides here because there's a lot of neat stuff, and there's a lot of interesting starting points you can have, especially if you've never done a website, you don't know, you don't have an idea of all the different pages that you want to put into it. This will help you get an idea of what it is that you want to put on your site. You can then change the template to your liking down the road. So if I was at a school and I was making a classroom website, I can go to schools and education and take a look. You can have a project website, a simple teacher website, a classroom site, all kinds of interesting templates available over here. I'm going to probably choose this academic class template since it's nice and clean, has a little bit of contrast and color. But they have stuff for business. They have stuff for one-time events that you might be working on or creating. Stuff for government, stuff for family purposes, family websites that you want to create for yourself. So there's a lot of neat stuff in here. These templates were all created by people just such as yourselves, and they've submitted it to the community so everyone else can use them. So feel free to browse it, find something you like. If you don't want to use a template, just click on the X in the upper right-hand corner, and you can use the blank template if you prefer. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually use this. Where was that one I found here? Academic class template. I like how this one looks. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to select the little select button there. And then my academic class template is highlighted, so that I know that's exactly what I'm going to use for my website. I have to make a name for my website. You know exactly what you want to name it. If you just want to call it test, if you want to call it something goofy, feel free. Just realize that whatever you name your site, if you make it public, Wes is going to go over how you make a website public. This is something I want to just mention right off the bat. By default, Google Sites has your site as private. I'm fairly certain. What that means is only you have access to it. If you want it to show up on Google and show up for everyone that's using the internet, you have to actually make the effort to make it public. So that's one of the things that I want to warn everyone about. And some people are afraid about making a site and everyone's going to see it before they want to have it be known to everyone else. But know that Google Sites does make that private by default. If you do make it public, realize that also your name of your site is going to show up on Google results. So when people do a search for whatever it is, you have a music business, whatever the name of the site is, that's going to show up on the what's called the header line for that search result. So just want to be certain if this is something you're going to be taking prime time, make it something that you want to be presentable. Just think about how other people are going to view it. So I'm going to just name my site Simple Demo Class Site. Okay. It's going to go ahead and make a site location. This is also something that throws a lot of people off. We get a lot of questions about this in our classes. So see right here how it creates this automatic name for us in terms of the site location. You can change this to be whatever you like. And one other thing I want to tell you, if you're going to be connecting your own domain name to it, your www.myname.com, this isn't really going to matter very much. This is internal, for internal purposes, just for your own sake of using the site and creating and editing it within Google Sites. But once you connect a proper web domain to it, no one's going to even see this actual address. So this is for your internal purposes only. That's why I say, I wouldn't be too concerned with what you name it here, but realize that if you're going to be making multiple websites in Google Sites, at least keep some kind of organization, make the names resemblant of what the site is, because if you have 10 websites and you name them goofy here, you might have a tough time remembering, okay, what is that website exactly, what was that about? So it's for your own purposes. But realize, even if you don't want to purchase your own domain name, if you don't care about a my.com, this is then what you're going to be using to share with others. So that's going to be the publicly displayed web address. So you can get a professional domain, but by all means you don't have to. Google is providing that to you free of charge as a part of using Google Sites. So if you didn't want to get a web domain and you wanted to share this website in the future, all we would have to do is give people this long web address and they can get to it just as easily. Okay? I'm going to leave it as the default name because, to me it really doesn't matter too much.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
My laptop is so slow, and I wanted to log into the desktop,
Okay.
but I'm locked out. There's no password. It says I knew what password is required. So do you
What's
know
the password again?
Guest, G-U-E-S-T.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. You also have the option of applying a theme to your template if you like. Again, you can use a very simple design. You can use a more advanced design. There's a lot of choices for you. It's really personal preference. I'm going to not select any kind of theme. I'm just going to leave it default. And then there's a few more options here that Google Sites provides. I generally tell people not to fill out site categories. It's really not necessary. I really don't know what or where that is picked up or read. I don't think Google even looks at that by any means. This is more of just for organization within your Google Sites account. So if you're just going to have a few websites, not even going to matter. Leave the categories section blank. Site description. You would fill this out if you wanted your results on Google. So when your website shows up, if you fill in this description field, it's going to go ahead and pull in that exact description under the name of your website. So for some people, they want that. For some people, they do not. For our company website, and for most people we work with, we tell them not to put a description in because we want Google to pull the information right off of our homepage. We want that to change as time goes on. So it's up to you. If it's a website that really won't have too many changes on the website, fill your description in. If your website's going to be dynamic and have a lot of stuff going on, you prefer Google to be pulling in that latest information, don't fill in a description. It's up to you.
Can you use it?
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Create now. Take a few moments to make the site for us.
Do you want to use it?
Yeah, I said,
Now you gotta go back to it.
So it's a little delayed. Hopefully it'll keep moving here. There we go. And there we go. So since I chose a template, you can see here that it has some content already. So I'm already off and running. It's already done some of the work for me. As I said, every template has different pages already created. So this is, this clearly looks like a website that the teacher would use for her class. It's got a contact page, a syllabus page, materials, assignments, homework. So I would say about 50% of the work's already done because the bones of the website has already been created for me. So there's teachers or business colleagues that you have that are scared about, not knowing what to start with. Tell them, choose a template for yourself. They'll do the work for you, and you work off of what they provided. Maybe, just change it to your liking. As you can see, some of the main elements that Google Sites provides here, I'm going to go briefly over this, and then we'll get into how we can change and make pages on our site. But as you can see, by default, it has a search bar. So Google Sites is a very powerful search utility, just like Google.com is very powerful. That same functionality is within Google Sites. So if I was searching for anything here, I could just type in that search term. I'm just going to search for website since I know it's on the home page. If I did a search for it, it's going to search for any single page on the site that has the word website in it. So again, I'm not going to go over too much on searching, but Realize that if your site gets large, people can find whatever they're looking for just by using the search functionality. This particular template decided to use what's called a horizontal navigation bar. And you can do a combination or one or the other. You can do horizontal navigation. You can do a navigation bar on the left-hand side for yourself. It's up to you, whatever you feel is more appropriate. Most professional websites these days are going with the horizontal navigation, but feel free, by all means, if you want to make a navigation bar on the left-hand side here. It's really up to you. The choice is yours. And then if we scroll down here, one of the biggest things I didn't even mention, you can see that a calendar was embedded here. So I'm not going to get into Google Calendar too much, but do know that if you have a calendar for your common calendar for your office, or a public events calendar, or a teacher has an assignments calendar, you can embed that calendar right within here. So students or coworkers or anyone that needs to see it can see all those events right within your Google site. So it's very easy. Obviously, it's a Google product as well, so they make calendar embedding very, very nice and clean and easy to use. Okay, so this here is our home screen. This is our home page that we're looking at here. It's based off that template that I had chosen. And it has a lot of elements going on here. Of course, you don't have to make your Google site this advanced. This is just an example of what you can put in here if you wish. So I'm going to go over first how to make a new page within your site, and then I'll show off how to edit an existing page. Okay? So you can get off and running and making a page for yourself. So very simple. When we're within Google Sites and we're within editing mode, you'll know that you're in editing mode for your website if you see the common what's called the options area above your site. So it's a little confusing sometimes to understand whether or not you're in the editing area or not, because if I went to this live site on the web, it would look just like that without the options at the top. So just always make sure you scroll to the top and see if you see the options buttons at the top of your screen. So if I wanted to make a new page, well, let me just go over some of the buttons that we have at the top here, because people are, of course, going to ask me about them. This button here is our Edit Page button. So if I wanted to work on this page and what I see here on the screen, this is the button I would use. If I want to make a new page for my website, I use the button right to the right of it, the New Page button. Very simple, very easy. So let's go ahead and make a New Page button here. So go ahead and click on New Page for yourself. Right off the bat, any new page that you make, Google's going to ask a few questions that are common to every single new page within your site. It's going to ask for a name. So I'm going to just call this new page Test Page 2. If we wanted to change the location or the actual address part of where this page is located, you have the power to do so. Google just uses the name of the page that you made and what you put in here into the actual address part of it, but the power is yours. If you don't like it that it says Test Page 2, you can just call it TP2, whatever you like. Just realize that the more pages you make, the more constrained you're going to get if you make your names too simple. So you want to be fairly descriptive when you're making page names. I tell people, let Google create the name for you. It usually does a pretty good job. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as Test Page 2. I'll put the dashes in. Okay, it's going to ask us what kind of template we want to use for the page itself. Now, template, when it's describing template here, this is not the site template that we chose. So we chose that class website template. When it talks about template here, it's talking about how the actual page that we're making is going to be structured. By default, the simple web page, we're going to be putting simple information, or most of your web pages within your site that you're going to be creating, you're going to be using just the web page option. Gives you the most flexibility. Yes?
I'm sorry, but I must have navigated away because I created a page and I had a website address, and then when I was trying to edit the page, I got a different screen, and when I went back.
What do you see right now? Where are you at now?
Well, I'm back at the create a new website, and I'm in trouble.
Probably just have to go back in the site. Wesley will help you out with that. So we have a few different options here. I will tell everyone the two most common pages you'll be using is web page and announcements. And announcements is kind of a weird way to name it because I look at the announcements functionality more of like a blog. So if you wanted to put a blog section on your website where you just post updates or different articles for your website, this is how we do our company blog on FireLogic. We made an announcements page, and it allows you to just make new posts that get added on. The newest one always gets stacked on the top for you. So think of announcements like blog functionality. File cabinet is if you're going to be making a page just for putting like Word documents or PDF files up for people. Some people like teachers or business workers may like that, especially for a private website. I wouldn't use it too much on a public website. You can make a list page. It's like an Excel style web page with just a list of information that you can manipulate. And a start page is like an alternative to a home page where you can have all kinds of widgets and gadgets and all kinds of things. You can play with the start page functionality. I won't really go over that today. But web page and announcements are the two most popular ones and the ones that you probably will be using for your site. So for the sake of the class, I'm going to go ahead and make a web page. I'm going to choose the web page option. And the third final option that Google Sites is going to ask us, it's going to say, where do we want to put this page? Where's the location of this page going to be? So let's think back to that first slide that I showed everyone, that tree structure, that hierarchy of the home page with the main pages then and the sub pages underneath there. That's how we have to think of where's this page going to be. So by default, if this is a new site that you didn't choose a template for, you're not going to have that tree of all those different sections going down. So you're going to have to start making that as you go. Realize that, again, because it's Google Sites, it's very flexible. You're not going to be stuck with any kind of structure right off the bat. If you decide that you made too many levels deep or you don't want to go so deep or you want to change something down the road, you can always do so. You're not stuck to what you choose here right off the bat. It's just a starting point so Google Sites can put the site somewhere in that bucket for you. As a note of reference, just for most website creation, you want to go ahead and put your subpage down underneath somewhere under the home page so we can start building that structure. So I'm going to say that I want to put this page, and as we can see, there's a few levels that were already created for us. But I'm going to put this test page under syllabus. So it's going to be under, so home page, syllabus, and then test page is going to be under that. And we can move it around later on if we'd like. But that's where I want to place it for now. So let's click on create. And as we can see, I'm just going to show everyone where this shows up now on this website. So if I'm back at the home page, I made that under syllabus. So now if I go under syllabus, that page is going to show up as a subpage down here. And another thing that everyone should know, that it's not going to by default be linked on the menu on the horizontal navigation bar. If you choose to use the vertical navigation bar, Google Sites is nice that it automatically creates your menu structure for you. But the horizontal option, you have to tell it exactly what pages you want to show under each menu. So it's sort of a two-step approach. You're putting it in the bucket of how your website's created, of where it's actually being stored, and then you're giving a public menu to everyone of how they can navigate your website. So a little difficult concept to understand, but realize that, losing my dongle here. Just understand that you're going to make your page, and then later on, if you're using the horizontal navigation, you're going to then link out to your other pages. And you can do that at the end after you've made all your pages. You don't have to do that right away after you make your page. This is just what's going to be visible when the public comes to your website.
So should we see the one that we just created visible or no? It's a link, right? It was a...
Depends on the template you're using. If you're using a template that has a vertical navigation bar with auto navigation turned on, you might see it right away. Mm-hmm. But if you're using one like this that uses horizontal, you won't see it right away.
Okay. Thanks.
The easiest way to find your page is just scroll down under the page that you put it. So it's under syllabus for me. I scroll down. Google does put it under this subpages area like this. So I can just go ahead and click on test page 2, and I can be taken back to what I was working on. And if you ever lose a page within your website, you don't know where it is in your structure, I'm going to show you really quickly now how to find that page, because this happens to me sometimes as well when I'm working on Google Sites. Go ahead up to the upper right-hand corner, find the More menu, and go ahead over to Manage Site. Should be about 3/4 of the way down. When I go into Manage Site, on the left-hand side, I have an area called Pages, and here I can see the full logical structure of my website. And now, if I thought I lost my test page 2, or maybe it went somewhere else, I can see exactly where it is, and just click on it, and I'll be taken right back to it. So that's your fail-safe if you think you lost your one of the pages you created within your website. So now that we have this page here, all we have to do to go ahead and work on it and edit it is now use that other button at the top of the screen, the Edit Page button. Very simple. Click on the button. Now it's going to load us into editing mode. If you've been here for Google Docs, you'll know exactly what that top looks like. It looks like our Google Docs formatting toolbar. Again, Google uses a lot of elements across their platform, so if you know how to use Google Docs, you're going to be used to editing your text and your content within Google Sites because it's the same exact editing interface. The only difference is the area that we're putting it into. We need to be mindful of how we're working with the actual page itself. So by default, we have a few different menus here at the top. I want to tell everyone that your cursor is going to be within your content area. So this is actually going to be our content. When I showed you that layout of what a web page needs to contain, this is the meat and bones of what it's going to have of what we're showing people. This title here is the name of our page that we made. We can change it at any time. You can go ahead and just put your cursor in here, change that to something else, and it'll change the actual title of the page. But within here is where we're going to be adding in our content. This is the most important stuff of any website, the actual content. And I have a lot of different options here. Of course, the simple, I can put in text for myself. It's just like a Google Doc. You can start typing away, putting things in. I can format my text. I have different font styles I can use here. I have different sizing I can use, bolding, italicizing, colors of my text. You can get as crazy as you like. Just remember, when you're making a public website, you want to keep it clean and organized. So, the worst websites that I've seen out there are the ones that tend to use different colors on every single page, use different font backgrounds and style options. Find some kind of font, find some kind of sizing and colors that you like and stick with them throughout your site. Studies have shown that people tend to span websites that have a common style and visual theme to it. Okay? And it makes it easier to read. You don't want to be looking at pink text, black text, and green text all on the same page for yourself. But if you want to do that, the choice is up to you. You have indent options, bulleting options. So pretty much anything you can do within a Word document, you can do within your Google site within reason. Let's check out some of the menus that we have at the top here. Under the Insert menu, it's almost a little daunting in terms of what the options that we have here because they're quite extensive. The most common options are going to be in the left upper left-hand side, for us here. One of the most popular ones that I use is Image. Insert an image. Of course we want to put pictures on our site. If I go to Insert Image, it's going to give us two options. I can pull an image off my computer. So I can go to Choose File. Let's see if I have a picture here somewhere. I don't, but I'm going to recreate that. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to steal this picture of I'm going to steal this logo from this website, even though I shouldn't. Save it. Let's go back to our Add Image option here. So if I have a picture on my desktop I wanted to use or anywhere on my computer, I can just go ahead and not named correctly. Okay. Oh boy. Nothing can ever be easy. Alright, let's go here. Let's take this Google Apps logo. Save it. Okay, so choose file. let's go ahead and take this
It's
cloud picture here. So you can upload a picture. When you upload a photo into your Google site, it always asks you for your alt text. Now this is something you don't have to put in, but as any good web developer knows, you do want to have alt text because you have to remember that not all computers or not everyone that's browsing a computer can see all the pictures. For example, the handicapped, when they're using browsers that allow them to read to them what exactly they're seeing on the screen, the alt text is what tells them what it is they're viewing. If you don't put in alt text, the person that may be blind and is using a browser reader will never know what that picture describes. So your alt text is for the handicapped and for other situations where your picture may not show up. So I always tell people, put in some kind of alt text that will never hurt you. So I'm going to just call this cloud picture, and I'm going to click OK. It's going to insert it. And the second option we have, when we don't want to upload it from our computer, we can find a picture just by web address. Now I like using this as well because if you know the location of the image on the web, you can use whatever you like. If I went to do a Google search and I wanted to find a simple picture of, say, a black cat, I can go into Google Images and I can look at all the different pictures for myself. Now keep in mind that I'm going to make a disclaimer here. If you're making a website for commercial purposes and you're going to be making money off this, you can't just go onto Google Images and find anything you want. You have to go ahead and find services called services that pay royalties to the artists that create these images, and then you have the rights to go ahead and put this on your site. So what I'm showing you is meant for personal or nonprofit purposes, educational purposes. So I like this cat over here. It looks like my cat that I have at home. I'm going to click on this picture, and I can go ahead and find this actual address for this image very simply just by clicking on full-size image on the right-hand side here in Google Images. And this will go ahead and bring me the actual long address of where this image sits on the internet. If I copy that for myself and I go back to my Google site, now I can paste that in to image URL, and I can click on OK, and that will insert that cat for me. So I'll call it black cat, and I'll click on OK, and look at that. Now I have a picture of the black cat and put it right into my website, and I didn't even have to save it to my computer. So again, this is nice for non-commercial purposes where you might want to insert photos in your site, but don't have a collection of your own. You can just pull them right off Google Images, Bing Images, any of the other image websites, or any news article. If you find a Wall Street Journal article and you like the images they use, you can pull that in as well. If it's not off Google Images or a nice service that lets you find that easily, I'll show you the trick to finding the image location on any image. Let's see here. Let's find a picture here. So if I find a picture on a news article, if I right-click on it, now notice that I realize that I'm using Google Chrome here. The option that you'd see with an Internet Explorer or Firefox are going to be very similar. It might be called copy image URL. In Google Chrome, it is called copy image URL. In Internet Explorer, it's something a little different. So just look in your right-click menu, and you will find the appropriate option. But for Google Chrome, I'm going to do copy image URL. Go back to my website, press enter a few times, and I'm going to do the same thing. Insert image, web address, paste it, and there we go. I can put that image in there. I'll call that news photo for my alt text. Click OK, and there it is. So I have two images on my website. Took me almost no effort to get those pictures in there, so very easy to do. Under the insert menu, there's a lot more things that you can do. This is another place you can put a link in. If I did insert link, and I highlighted some text and I did insert link, I can go ahead and either link to another page within my site. It'll show me my structure. I can link to another page somewhere else on the internet. Maybe I want to link to Microsoft.com. So those are the two common options there. AppScript, no one in this room is probably going to be using AppScript, so I wouldn't worry about that. But that's how to insert a link for any text that you have on your actual site. Moving along here, if you wanted to do a table of contents, this is a little more advanced feature, but if you had something that had a lot of content in it, like a summary of some kind of white paper that you were creating on some kind of subject. Maybe you might want to put in a table of contents, especially if you had a long page with a lot of different bullet points of text within there. A table of contents would allow you to link to those different sections on your page. There's a sub-page listing, so you can have a nice little box that links out to all the different pages you have within underneath this particular page. You can put a horizontal line break in.
That's what we don't use.
There's some other gadgets here that you can use. Recent posts is related to any blog pages you have on your site, so that announcements feature that we talked about. And just to show you how blog looks, because I know some people know of what a blog is in general, but for Google Sites it looks a little different. So if I go to my company website, I'll show you how our company blog looks, just so you can get an idea. If I click on blog at the top, so this is how the blog feature looks. Our latest posts on the blog page is about our recycling event coming up. If you scroll down, we have some of our recordings that we put up from our previous classes. So it allows you to make these news posts or whatever you want to make for your site. If you had a class website, maybe you could make a different post for every single final exam coming up, and you can put different content in for information kids need to know. So, it's really up to you for what you'd like to do. But this is what we do with our blog, and this is available to the public. So if I chose to do the recent posts option, it would put in all the recent posts that I have from my blog, and that particular gadget looks just like this. It'll put in a little box, whatever you choose, that puts in just a brief summary of that blog post and the title of it, so people can easily go to it. So we put that on our homepage so people can easily go to our different blog articles that are on our website. And there's a lot more items. I'm not going to go over every single one here. You can play with these on your own time, but as you'd expect, some of the other popular ones, calendar. If I wanted to insert a calendar for myself, I can click on that, and you can see a lot of test calendars that we have. But if you had your personal calendar, like this one for Wes's test calendar, I can select that, and I can put in a calendar of everything on Wes's event. So this only pertains to calendars that either you have owned or someone has shared out with you. And likewise, if I wanted to insert a Google Doc, any kind of Google Doc that I have, these are all my Google Docs here, my Google presentations, my Google spreadsheets that I have. I can check mark any of these, and I can actually embed them inside my web page. So let's see if I have someone with some content on it. Let's see, test document, maybe this has something within it, so I'll just select that. And then it gives me a few options. Do you want to have a border around it? Do you want to actually have a title that is customized? I'm going to select no and no on that, and let's see how that looks now. Do you realize that some of these options that you put in, like a Google Doc or Google Calendar, when you're within editing mode, you won't see the actual content of what everyone else is going to see publicly. That's one thing to keep in mind. A lot of people say, hey, I put in a Google Doc and I'm seeing this big, gray box. That's because you're within editing mode, and it only shows once you save your page. So if I did a save on my page, you'll see what happens here. There's a document we did in a Google Docs class a few months back. So that is actually my Google Doc right there that we created previously. So again, if you want to use that functionality, you can. The choice is yours, but that is how it's going to look when the public is viewing it themselves. And if they wanted to open that document in full form, they can click on Open Document, and there's the actual Google Doc itself. So very powerful, especially for places that are doing a lot with Google Docs and Google Calendar and Google Sites.
And if I wanted to delete what I just did,
If you want to delete it, go back into editing mode, click on the box itself. You'll get a little option right up here above it that says remove. Click on the X and it's gone. Same thing with a picture. I wanted to take a picture out, just a little different option to delete it. When you click on the picture, it has a little option called remove, and I can take out the black cat. I'm not going to take him out. I'm going to take this photo out instead, and click on the X, and it took it out for us. So whatever you put in, you can always take it out. Again, you're never tied to anything you put in within your website. A website is truly a living and breathing creature, and like I said, you can edit any page on your site at any time. And there's some other options in the insert menu. I'm not going to go over too many more of these. Google Map, you can put a Google Map in within your website. If you had a company, you wanted to say, hey, here's my retail location, you can show people exactly where that is on a live Google Map, and they can get driving directions right off of there to make it easy for them. So that's up to you. If you had a Picasa album of photos up already on Google, you can display that collection of photos for people. You can insert a spreadsheet. You can insert a YouTube video. This is what we use to put our training sessions in our blog posts. We find the actual link to the YouTube video and we paste it right within here. So it makes it nice and easy for us. So a lot of stuff. You're going to have to play with some of it because we just don't have the time to go into everything at length.
I just have a quick question. So
Yes.
when you're using a template and all the information, all the links are already there, you just kind of delete their links and then put your own links in?
Yeah.
Is that the best way to do
Yeah,
it?
you work off. It's like it's like working off a template of a letter you're making to someone. You
Right.
keep what you want. You get rid of what you don't need.
Okay. And
Okay.
then what about how we named our site? I mean, if I wanted to rename it, how do
If
we-
you wanted to rename it, that's under the More menu, and
Okay.
we're going to go over that. I'm going to go over that. Wes is actually going to go over that
Okay.
when he gets up to
Okay, great.
present. Okay, so I just have a little bit more to go over in terms of editing
Okay.
pages, and then he's going to jump into site sharing and more. The other options we have up here on our common menus. Some common formatting options, very up forward and up front. You can go through these on your own. They just are duplicates of what you see over here in the formatting toolbar. If I wanted to put a table in, they have a table menu. I will say right up front that table functionality is workable, but it's a little clumsy within Google Sites, so be mindful, be careful with how much you do with tables. While it is a nice organization tool, like I said, it's just a little clumsy to work with within this platform, so use it at your own risk. Layout is probably the other common design element that people are going to be using to change up this actual page. So again, this layout menu only applies to this particular page that we're on. I can have a page that has 2 columns, or 1 column, or a simple 2-column design, or a page with a right sidebar or a left sidebar, and I can change that for any other given page on my site. So this is a per page aspect that we're going to set right now. We can change this at any time. So if I decided that I didn't like the 1-column simple big block design, I could change it to look like a 2-column simple design. So look at that. If I choose that, it splits it up and makes a 2-column design for myself. So I'll show you exactly how that looks. It'll look something like that. Something maybe where I need more information side by side, or I didn't want to use as much vertical space. The choice is up to you. If I go back into edit and I go into layout, maybe I didn't like that. Maybe I want to use a left and right sidebar design. Again, I have even more area to put in content for myself. And this is something you're going to have to decide for what works best for you. I tend to tell people, don't make your site layout more complex than it has to be. Something like this, I think, would only be used in very rare circumstances. The most popular options I would stick to under layout are 1-column, 2-column, or 3-column design. Even 3-column I wouldn't use very much. So 1 and 2 columns. But if you have a special purpose where you need this 3-column design, go ahead and use it. Just realize it makes this page busier, and it limits your editing options for how you can lay your text out a little bit more. But if you have a purpose for this, go ahead and use it. So I'm going to go ahead and just save that as it is. There's my cat with my 3 columns right there. A few other things on this particular page itself. On any given page that we create, there's an option under the More menu, and where it's called Page Settings, where we can choose some of the things that show up on this page in particular. On my pages that I make for our company website, I turn off this comments functionality. Comments really don't apply the way you think of comments on a public news website or something like that. Comments is only for people that have Google accounts that you've given sharing out to this website and that can work on this website. So if this is shared out with a group of colleagues at your work, then you might want to leave comments, because then people within your work can then comment on this page. But for the public, they won't be able to comment on that. That's one of the biggest questions I have about commenting on Google sites. It's not like we think of on most public websites. I say turn comments off, and I usually turn off attachments as well, because most of the time I'm not using attachments on my page. If you wanted to attach a Word document or a PDF file to your page, you can leave attachments on, and then as you see here, you'd be able to use this. Oh, back in editing mode here. Oh, I turned it off. That's why I don't see it. Goofy me. So if I left attachments on at the bottom of my page, I would see a button that says Add Files, and I can upload any kind of file I'd like. If I had a PDF I wanted to share with someone or a Word document, this is probably the best way to do it. I just do attach file, find it, upload it, and then anyone would be able to grab it right off that page for themselves.
Is there a way that you could turn that off for the whole entire, or do you have to do it page by page?
It's page by page. I don't think there's a site-wide turn off for attachments. Okay. When I'm working on my site, I just remember any new page needs to have that turned off. Back into page settings here, I'm going to turn off attachments and show links to subpages. Remember how I showed everyone that little subpages area that showed at the bottom of the page that allowed me to get to test page 2 before I linked it on my horizontal navigation bar? If you turn that off, it's going to turn off that little functionality. I like to turn that off because I personally like to link everything commonly on my navigation area. If you're not going to be as mindful about doing your navigation, then you do want to leave that on because Google's doing the work for you then. So it's just a personal preference for how you want to have your links shown on your website. And then show page title, I would leave that on, but if you turn that off, it'll merely go ahead and just remove the title from that page. I say leave it on because a lot of people don't know what part of the site they're on. Unless you have a very small 1 or 2 page website. And if you have more than about 2 or 3 pages, you do want to leave your page titles on so people know exactly where they are on the site. So leave that on so they can see that, hey, I'm on test page 2 and I can see that I'm under the syllabus area. So the nice part about leaving that on is it leaves our breadcrumbs on. And breadcrumbs are every single level deeper you go within a site and you have a page created, it allows people to bounce back upward along that breadcrumbs trail. This is common on most major professional websites. News websites do it a lot as well. It's a way of visually showing people where they are on the website. I would leave it turned on. It's a nice feature to have. Okay.
How do you get back to your edit page again? Because I'm still stuck in or insert format table. I'm still doing that. So.
Oh, back to edit. So if I have it saved and it's in public view right now, just click on the edit button up here.
I lost my edit buttons at the top though. Oh, I have to save it first, right?
So you're in edit.
You're in edit mode then. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I saved it, then those would pop back up.
Yes, exactly. So that's how to determine if you're in edit mode or not. If you see these buttons up here, you're not in edit mode. If that's gone and you have a formatting toolbar, you're in edit mode. You're editing right now. Okay?
Got it. Thanks.
All right. So likewise, when I showed everyone the edit button for the page that we made, I can use the editing functionality on any page within my site. So say I wanted to go over back to the home page. Let's see, maybe, where do I want to go?
On test page 1.
Yeah, let's go over to assignments. Maybe I want to work on my assignments page. Same way, just use my edit button. I can go within here, I can change this. I didn't want any of this text here. I can delete all of it and go ahead and save it. And as we can see here, this assignments page is actually an announcement style page because we have what's like a blog post here. So this teacher, for this using this site, went ahead and put into one post for ourselves. And I'm going to show everyone how to delete items you enter into your blog or announcements feature here. So if this assignment number 1 shows here, this is considered the one entry that we have for our blog or assignment that's for this particular website. So if I went within here and clicked on assignment number 1, this is the page for that blog post. So I would have to go into that, click on that assignment, and then go ahead and I believe I can just go ahead right within here, and yeah, right within the More menu, if I wanted to delete that assignment or that blog post, I would click on More, and then click on Delete Page. That'll delete that assignment for us, so now our blog or assignment page is completely empty.
When you originally inserted this blog link.
Yes.
So that's an existing blog that's already connected to this particular website?
This particular assignments page was made when we were at that new page screen.
Right.
Remember when it said assignments under the drop down?
Okay.
So assignments was chosen for this particular page. And you'll know that because you'll see this button here, new post. It's asking us to create an entry for that blog page.
So, but if I wanted to insert if I click on insert and I use recent posts, that's.
All that does is go ahead and populate a little area on a page, like on our home page here.
Right.
That is what this is going to look like here. So I have to make some content first, and then I can go ahead and insert this little navigation box.
How does this find that though?
It finds it simply by the post that we put in here. So if I click on new post.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm working on a brand new web page.
Yes.
And I want to put in posts to another blog.
Okay.
So when I click on recent posts for insert, how do I give it direction on where to find the blog?
Because that functionality does not tie into external blogs in any way. This particular functionality is all self-contained. You have to make the blog, and then you can insert that box that shows the posts from the
So
blog.
if the blog exists as in Blogger for Google.
Yes, then you couldn't use that insert recent blog posts gadget. You would have to link to it just in a simple text link off to the separate page.
So if we already have a blog out there, like you have a blog, I have a blog out there. So if I want to link my blog to my web page,
I
do I
have to
use
put
that
a URL?
Yeah, do
You would have to do the insert link functionality.
link.
Yeah,
Okay.
you wouldn't be able to
Alright.
use this. So this is
This blog is part of the website?
part of the website itself. It's not
Oh,
a
I
Blogger
see.
site. So
Okay.
Blogger's a Google product, but it's on its own.
Okay.
There's an invisible wall between
So
the two.
blog is a portion of this particular
Yes,
website.
yes.
Now, did that come with the template?
It comes with it gets created when you go ahead. So say, let me make a totally new page here. I'll show everyone what I mean. If I go to create new page and I choose to make an announcements page, and I'm just going to name it whatever, just
Right,
to show for the
right.
purpose of doing this. So now this page is its own blog.
Got it.
And now if I wanted to make a blog post, I do new post, and look what I get. I get a new, it looks like another new page, but this is going to be a post on that blog
Okay.
within my site.
Gotcha.
Okay? And as I make those, it's going to look more like what we have on our company blog, newest posts
Right.
on top, and you
Right.
just keep posting
Okay.
on and on and on. I'm not saying you have to use this, but if you want to take advantage of this
Right.
nice built-in functionality,
Right.
you would have to start making your new blog within here, okay?
Right,
So that's a
fine.
differentiation.
And it shows up as announcements.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So back to my assignments area here. So again, if I was making a new post for my Google site blog, I would simply name this whatever I want. So new assignment number 2. If I was a teacher making a blog post for my assignment blog, whatever content I had, I can go ahead and attach whatever assignment files I wanted to attach for this particular item. As soon as I click on save, when I go back to assignments, look at that. Now I have new assignment number 2 as an item within the blog. And as I keep adding new posts, they're going to keep stacking up, and you can start building that blog history for yourself. So for teachers, for people, maybe some business usage scenarios, this functionality might come in use for you nicely, or even a personal blog. You can make a personal blog on your website very simply, and maybe even make this your homepage for your website and just have your blog just go on and on and on. So it's really up to you. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the editing or page creation aspects of Google Sites? Do we understand how to get into an edit page and make a new page and work on it the way we want to?
The only question I have, and maybe you're going to get to this,
Sure.
is the horizontal tabs across the top.
Yes, Wesley's going to be coming up actually. Wes, are you
Yep.
you available?
Yeah.
Because we're going to move on to site sharing. And actually, Wes, can you start off with the More menu first? Go over that first and then go into site sharing, because it seems like a lot of people want to find out about editing their navigation. Okay?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to let Wesley take over. He's going to take the reins and show us the rest of Google Sites.
Try this one. So that is your website. That's your.
Hello.
So you don't go here.
All right, guys. So you asked for it, so here it is. All right, what we have here, a lot of the other features that Derrick had showed you guys earlier are mirrored in the More menu. Things that you can change from here, for example, are revision history, which of course shows you changes made to the site. So you can go back to an earlier revision in the event that you make a change, and then you come back an hour or so later and you're like, I didn't really like the way that looked, or my customers came back to me and told me, that doesn't exactly look right compared to the way it did before, and then you'd be able to roll it back. One of the other options, you can move the page. You can take an individual page within a site and change the hierarchy so that it goes somewhere else. You can of course change your page template, that design that you first chose when you first created your site. So that is an option. You can subscribe to site changes, which would allow somebody that has an account and has access to your site to subscribe, and anytime a change is made, it'll be emailed to them. And of course, you can edit the layout, manage the site, and this one's kind of interesting.
That's been around for a little bit.
Okay. This one allows you to put an AdSense ad into your site, so if you want to make some revenue from your site, there is a program from Google called AdSense that lets you do site linking ads and whatnot.
Just remember, when we talked about commercial versus non-commercial, when you start accepting ads on your site, you become a commercial site. So that's where you have to remember, you need to get image rights for any pictures or graphics that you use. So that's a distinction some people don't realize.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gray area once you start picking up ads. Another one, of course, is sharing and permissions, which we'll go over in a minute. Can also be, of course, controlled from the blue button. Site help, which is just help page for Google, and then report an issue, where you send Google a message in the case that something goes wrong.
Can you go to manage site, Wes? Because that's the one where it has all the navigation options that.
Under here, you can change your site name, so you'd be able to change the name that you first created.
Where was, there it is, manage site.
Yeah.
And you can turn off that title not to show. So that's a little checkbox right to the right of there.
That would get rid of your page title. So you wouldn't have anything displayed when you went to your home page.
And a little further down here, this also might be for some people if they want to change this. Scroll up, Wes. You went too far down. Up, too far down. Landing page. So you want to set exactly where people go first when they get to your website. Maybe you made a personal blog and you don't want it to be on the static homepage. Maybe you want your blog to be the first page people hit. You can change that right here under landing page. So by default, it's the home page. But if you want it to go somewhere else, you just have to tell Google Sites what that first page should be that people are going to see.
All right. So under that, you of course have all these other options. You can delete an item. You can add different scripts to your page, and it gets a little messy. But there's a lot of add-ons that you can add to a Google site. What we're going to go over first, of course, is the site sharing. Now, some of you might be asking, I just created a website, but I don't want the entire world to see it. I just want some family members, the grandparents, whatnot, to see what's on that page. So a lot of people, they have newborns, they go ahead and create a website for, that occasion. What you basically do is just go to sharing, and it shows who has access to the site. Right now, this particular site, anyone within the FireLogic organization can edit it, and only this John Smith here at FireLogic.net, who is the owner, which is our current account, can currently dole out permissions. So what we can do here is we have this option, link to share, and it allows editing. So if you shared this link out with someone, they'd be able to edit the site. And what we can also do, let's see, we can hit here, change.
So this is important for anyone that wants to put this site out on the web for everyone to see.
Alright, so if you wanted to change it from within the organization to, say, public on the web.
And I want to talk about, if you're using a Gmail account, you might not see all these options here. Remember, we're using the professional Google Apps suite. You might only have 3 options here, like private, anyone with a link, and public on the web. So your options won't be as heavy, but the most important ones Wes is going to go over are private, anyone with a link, and then public on the web.
Yeah. The reason that some of you might not have the other ones is because right now we're using a Google account within an organization. So we have a few extra options because it's linked to a website address. In our case, of course, public for the web, everyone pretty much understands how that works, right? If you click this, anyone with a link to your site is able to visit it. And it's indexable by Google. So if Google decides, oh, here's a brand new Google site, we want to add it to our index, they can scan your entire site. And anyone that searches for criteria that's on your site can potentially find it. The second option is anyone with a link. Now what this does is it prevents Google from indexing the page, and you'd actually have to hand out the web address for it. So there's a little more security. It's not quite as public, but people can still get to it. And of course,
that option right there is popular. When I used to work at a school district, this a lot of teachers would use because they wanted to still keep the site public so they didn't have to share it individually with kids. But still, they made it this so Google wouldn't pick up their class website. So it's an option to choose where you want it to just email blast it out to all your students, but you don't have to manage every single person that has access. Yet you still don't want Google to be indexing you and showing the whole world, what's going on your site. So that's a good in-between option to use.
And the way that you'd use the anyone with the link is you just click save. And of course, here's the link. It's sites.google.com/FireLogic.net simple demo class site. So it basically takes your page title and slaps it onto the name of your primary. So it works. It's just a little different. Another option, of course, is private, which is the default option when you create a page. And what this does is you actually have to specify the email address of anyone that you want to log in. And my understanding is they do need a Gmail account.
Some kind of Google account, Gmail or Google Apps.
Yeah, if you have any sort of Google account, you're able to view, because you'd require a username and password.
And you have two options here. Russ, can you show everyone the options they have? You
Sure.
can allow people to edit, or they can be owners of the site, they can just edit the site, or view the site only. So if you wanted to be so locked down that only people with certain email addresses could view it, obviously use the option can view. The more likely scenarios, you'd be giving other people editing rights, so you would put their email address in and give them can edit rights to the site so they can add pages, edit pages, things like that.
Or if you have a website that you've created, for example, say about collecting bottle caps, and your wife wants you to sell your whole bottle cap collection, and you have a friend who's still into it, you can make them the owner, and you're no longer responsible for the site. Do be careful when you click the is owner, because you will lose your primary rights to the site.
Yeah, when you give someone ownership rights over your site, be very careful, because that pretty much says that they can then take you off access to the entire site. It's like pretty much giving a filing cabinet to someone else, and they could say, okay, you don't have access to it anymore. So ownership rights are very powerful, so be very careful with who gets ownership rights.
Personally,
Can you change back?
no.
Never mind.
Wait, no, you can't change back, but if the other person cuts you off, the site's gone for you. So there can be multiple owners as long as everyone plays nicely. Okay?
That person's the one that has to change it back though, right?
If you get taken off of it, then they have to, they give you access back to it.
They do.
I'm not sure that you can have more than one owner.
Yes, you can. I just work with Eric on it.
I know documents it's a little different.
Documents you can, but sites you can't. So yes, you can have multiple owners, but if someone cuts you off, they have to give you key access back to the website then, okay?
So that's the basic site permission. So it's very careful. Make sure that you only give out permissions to people at the level that you want to. I mean, don't give somebody more access than they need, and don't hand out ownership unless you really trust someone. So that is sharing.
I just have a quick question. Like, if this link is going to be on another school page, in other words, it's on a school page, and I'm going to link it, and then so the students can see it, should it still be anyone with the link, do you think?
Anyone with a link, I
Yes.
think would be reasonable.
Yes, that's perfectly fine, because then what that says is Google's not going to pick it up, but anyone that clicks on it off of that District
Page.
64 page or whatever will still be able to get to it and navigate it. It's just that Google's not going to be picking it up, so someone that types in your class name is not going to find it on their search
Gotcha.
results. That's a perfect scenario.
Let me give you the other advantage to it. The parents would be able to view the page without the child's login info, which would probably be a huge benefit. Otherwise, you'd have to go in and type in every parent's email, every student's email, and it could just become really messy.
Right.
So, if I know a lot of parents nowadays want that transparency between the classroom and all this online content. I mean, a lot of them are nervous enough about it to begin with. So, sort of leaving it open with the link is probably the best way to go.
Thanks.
But there are situations where you may want to make it, completely private and only give out particular access. At our company, we have an internal intranet site where only our internal workers can edit it and view it, and no one else in the world can. If you try to go to it, if you're not logged into your Google account or work account, you can't get to it. It just says log into your Google account. So it just all depends on how much security, how much privacy you need on your personal or company website.
Does anyone have any particular questions about that before we move on? Okay. I go over the More menu in pretty good detail.
Can you go over site layout, Wes? The
yeah.
site layout option in there, because that's a lot of the common navigation elements. No, under manage site,
You're right.
left hand side, all the way at the bottom, site layout.
Alright, now what this does is if you have a particular site, you can change the sidebars. I usually actually get rid of all my sidebars. I like to have a header instead. What this does is here you have your header. You have the ability to change your website logo. You can change the alignment of the logo. So if you don't like it where it is, we can go ahead and we can change the size of it. We can put it on the left, on the right, the width. And of course, we can actually remove the footer from this one page. So this menu that popped up when I hit change site layout sort of just gives me control over the entire layout of the whole site in pretty decent detail for the service as is. Usually you don't get this kind of control with any other sort of product. So Google Sites does have its advantages. So while it's not a full-blown web design platform, you can definitely create some pretty intricate design to websites.
And that horizontal navigation bar, scroll up there. This is where we would go in to change what pages show under each item on our website. So when I was talking about linking everything on our horizontal navigation bar, we would go in here and it shows us exactly all the buttons that show up. The bolden ones are the ones that are the main big buttons on the page that we saw. But if we add in pages, so go ahead and do add page, Wes. Let's add in that test. Where's that test page under syllabus?
And where are you at under more? Are you under revision?
It's manage site.
It was under the manage site option, yeah.
Okay.
And then on the left, it's site layout all the way towards the bottom.
Okay, great, thanks.
Site layout. And then when you click on that site layout, it tells you that they've updated it and they've made it different.
Yeah, they haven't given us that option yet. The kind of problem that you have when you're working with Google Sites for an organization and the default Google accounts is the default gets the changes first.
Okay.
And it's by each individual account as to how Google rolls it out. And of course, Google is a large organization, they're always making changes to their products, trying to enhance and improve them. But the thing that you have to be mindful of is in that some things might move around, new features might pop up, but if it's usually a major change, they'll usually notify you about it. And if you are using it through a school or a company, it might take a little longer for some of those changes to go into effect. So there is that.
As long as I don't go to that new option, because it shows.
No, they just announced that like a week or two ago. They're not going to force that change on anyone until about a few months down the
As
road.
long as I can follow and go do
Yeah.
it exactly the way you're doing it, as long as I don't say that I want to go into that new.
I doubt it's that dramatically different. I mean, it's probably a similar version of the same thing.
Good.
So let's select that test page 2, Wes, on there. And then scroll down a little bit, and then click OK. So now we need to push that page up on the right hand side. Go ahead and so it's a little quirky to work with this navigation menu here, but remember when things are bolded, there are main items on that top navigation bar. And if we use the option, the little left and right arrows, watch what happens. If we go to the right, now this is a sub of the home page. We want to place this under where it's exactly supposed to be. No, well, put it under syllabus, Wes. So move down. down, under syllabus, and then move it to the right. So now it's a sub of syllabus. And if we didn't want it to be a sub, we want it to be a regular main button, a tab, just move it back. So it's all just a matter of what the placement is on your horizontal navigation properties bar over here.
This is what's known as a tabbed hierarchy. Essentially, each subpage, you just tab it over one space, and it'll become a sub of the page above that.
If I wanted to put a link and make a button or a link to an external website that's not even a part of my Google site, I use this add URL. That allows me to make a link over here to any other website in the world. If I wanted to link to the New York Times, I can make that right over here, and then when someone clicks on that, it's actually going to take them to that other page on the internet. So that's useful. If you have a blogger site, you want to make a button that says my blog, my blogger blog, or whatever you want to make it, that's how you would do it here. I would probably just make a button link like this.
What if I want to edit the names that are out there on the tabs? Do I need to remove them and just...
Those are controlled by the titles. Those are controlled by the titles of the pages themselves. So you have to actually change the page title. Go back to the page that you want to change and go to edit mode, change the title of that page.
I can understand where you can come from, because I know I work with another platform called WordPress, and they do let you change the titles in the navigation bar. A lot of times, especially for web page ranking on Google, what people will do is they'll create a really long title for their individual page or article, and then they want to make a short version on their navigation, so just take up the entire bar. So, but with Google, they want you to be pretty honest with the titles of your pages, and they really want them to match the navigation. What I'm going to do here is, of course, I've done the add URL, and I've made a link to Google. When you're done, you just click OK, and now we have a link to Google, which I'm just going to move up. Let's see where we can put this. Let's put it under home.
And the placement of these is important as well, from top to bottom, because this is the leftmost item on the navigation bar. The bottom is going to be the rightmost. So it's just taking the navigation and putting it in a vertical manner. So just, you have to think of it logically of where it's going to sit from left to right. So top to bottom is left to right.
All right, so right now I put my Google link under the test page too. So just to show you guys how this looks.
Save it first. Yeah.
So here's our site, and it's simple class demo. And if you look under test page, this template doesn't support it. It doesn't do drop downs for this template.
No, I think you just have to get out of the preview. Don't do the preview. Click X on the preview. Just go back to the real site. The left hand side, click on that. It should show up.
Oh, you're right. Okay. And you see underneath test page, I now have the Google link because it's a sub page. And then, of course, under syllabus, where'd it go?
I think you took it out. Well, test page 2 was supposed to be under syllabus, but you pulled it out.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there's test page 2 underneath syllabus. So you just put the pages where you want them based on that tabular view, and they'll show up on your site as a drop down. Different templates will handle this in different ways. Some will make a list out of it, others will do the drop down. It really depends on how your navigation is set up. If you say, for example, have if your orientation is switched, what will happen is sometimes they'll do a tab where there'll be a dot underneath syllabus, and it'll just be a full long list. With the bar up top here, it's usually going to be more of a drop down type system.
Go back into the managed site area, Wes, and let's put in a vertical navigation bar. Should be under. It should be under up at the top. Go to change site layout. I think we can put in a vertical nav bar here.
I think it's based on.
No, click cancel. Click cancel on that. On sidebar. On sidebar on the right hand side, go to add sidebar item. Here we go, navigation. That's the one.
Alright, so
and then
here-
take out AdSense, and just leave the navigation. And do save. Okay. So if we use that option automatic, does it allow you to click on automatic, Wes? Yeah. So now, if you really don't want to play around with making these menus and submenus, if you do a vertical navigation like we just set up, we'll put it on the right-hand side. If we can move it to the left-hand side, but it automatically pre-fills. Go to change site layout at the top.
it's really good. Oh,
Let's move it to the left-hand side. Change site layout. Sidebar on the left. Yeah.
so you can pretty much move around any element on the page pretty simply. It's not very hard to do so. So now our sidebar's on the left. So when we go hit save and then view our site, here's our navigation bar. This is a little, a lot of websites back in the 90s used to do this sidebar navigation. You see it becoming less and less common nowadays. A lot of people like to have it right up at the top because it takes up less space, it's more organized, and people tend to know where to look. When you see this, people will become accustomed to seeing ads on the side of their page, so they don't usually like this side navigation because they assume what a lot of places will do is the rest of these will all be advertisements.
Yeah. The only nice part about the left-hand navigation is, again, that it provides that automatic pre-filling, so you don't have to do the remembering to link everything out like on the horizontal one. This just it gives everyone a visual layout of where all your pages are as they may be, and everyone can get to any part of your site as soon as it's live.
Just remember though that it'll also add pages that you might not necessarily want included, like for example this random page. So it's just something to keep in mind. As far as navigation, does anyone have any questions? Alright, one thing I'm going to go over under more, we have, let's go to a page. If you go to a page that you don't necessarily want on your site, for example this gibberish one, you have the options of going to more and then delete page. And what this will do is it'll ask you, would you really like to delete a given page? So if somebody's, say the kids jump on the computer, create a whole bunch of pages that don't make any sense, you have the option to go ahead and then hit delete. And then that page will also automatically disappear from the left-hand navigation. And if you had it included in the top, it would also become removed because there's no longer a reference to it in the sitemap. Like we said earlier, this just doesn't auto-populate, but if you do delete a page, it'll be removed from the header.
Under Manage Site, let's go back into Manage Site. I want to show everyone where the color options, Manage Site. On the left-hand side, scroll all the way down. Colors and fonts. So this is where you can get as advanced as you'd like, and this actually provides you a preview of what kind of change you're making for every single option. And this is very detailed, so again, if you start off with a blank site, you're going to spend quite a bit of time changing colors. But just show some examples of some of the things you can change here, Wes.
You can change some of the colors.
Well, those are the themes that you can choose. But if you want to change individual aspects, you use the different options on the left-hand side there. So if you want to change background color, so make a change to the background color.
I did. It's blue.
Okay. So that color, that yellow up there, that's called, I think, the header color, a header background color. So that's why it didn't turn blue for us. There we go. Site header background. There we go.
Oh, the blue came in. So now.
But again, almost every aspect you see on your website, you can change the color of it. So it's pretty detailed, pretty advanced. There's probably 60 to 70 options of colors you can choose, or are options of different little finite things you can change. You'll have to play with all of them, to your liking. But as you can see, we changed it to green and blue. A little hard on the eyes, but that's all preference.
All right. other questions up to this point?
Under that menu that Wes is on right now, you can print your page if you wanted to do a quick print.
And it would sort of change it. It'll remove all the colors from the background and sort of give you a simplified version, because otherwise it's going to waste all your ink. And you have the option of course, your defaults for your individual browser. It's going to be different here, but generally it tries to print it without all the theming and all the colors. Another option, of course, is, let's see, I haven't gone over. I think I went
You can go back into manage site, Wes. I think we forgot a few things on the left-hand side.
You can also do, one of the interesting ones is the app script. What you can do is you can add additional scripts to your page. These are sort of like little extensions that allow you to add functionality to your site. For example, if you have Google Drive, which is another product, you can go ahead and add a script that would allow you to grab a file from your Google Drive account and allow other people to download it directly on your page. I think embedding a link is a lot simpler. This actually lets you share out an entire Google Drive account. You can add spreadsheets, documents, Gmail items, calendars, and of course additional sites. So
And again, this involves a little bit of coding. For most people, this might be a little bit over your heads, but you do have the option to go in and do so.
The easier solution for a lot of people would be to grab a script from somewhere else. It just adds that functionality. Another thing that you can do, you can add attachments to a site. So if there's, say, files that you wanted to manage, or you've deleted a picture that you no longer want associated with your site, you can go and do attachments and say, for example, delete one. So these are files that might not necessarily be on your site, but are still stored in your Google Sites account. The other advantage is you can easily replace, say, a given picture. This one says cloud computing. That's part of the template. Let's see. I got too many selected. So you can replace an individual picture with another version of it. So that would then change site-wide. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to change, since you had your logo displayed in different places with different size settings, you can then go ahead and change your logo photo without having to go and re-add it everywhere on your site. Page templates, of course, this has all the different page templates that are used when you select your theme. And of course, you can create a different page template that would then have a different layout for it. It's a little more technical, and I mean, most people wouldn't use that, but that is an option. And then of course, you can delete an item. So for example, we have a...
It's like the trash can of your website. Anything you've gotten rid of, if you say, hey, yeah, I want that page back, deleted items is going to have that. And I think it stores them for up to 30 days, just like Google Docs or in your email. So you have 30 days to get an item back if you got rid of it.
So you can always grab back a page that's been removed. Or if you really want it gone, you have the option of deleting it permanently. So.
And it tells you exactly when it's going to get rid of it. It says delete permanently 4 weeks from now. So 1 month from now, it's going to get rid of it entirely.
And of course, is AdSense. You just create an AdSense account, and then you can add ads to your site. I'll show you guys how to change a font really fast. Say for a sidebar gadget, for the header text, you'd be able to change the color. I don't think it was font.
I saw some font.
There we go. So you just click custom, and then Google has what's called Google Fonts. It's a collection of a ton of different web fonts that you can use. And they pretty much added over 150 different fonts that you can choose from. So when you're using Microsoft Word, you have a lot of fonts. There's even more when you're working with Google. And a lot of these they've gone out and purchased or created themselves just so that everyone can use them. Believe it or not, you can't just grab any font file off the internet. A lot of them do have copyright to them because it's a little somewhat difficult to create a font.
I know we're running up until about 10 minutes left in the class. Wes, can you just show the area under general where people are going to connect their web domain name? Under the general area on the left-hand side. Just delete this page.
Alright, so what this will do is it'll show you, you have your site name and everything else.
Web address mapping, I just saw it. Yep, so it's gonna be different in ours, but for everyone that uses a regular Google or Gmail account for themselves, this is where you're gonna be able to tell it that you want to use a professional website address or website name for your account.
And what you do is there's a record that you have to link up if you're using, say, GoDaddy or another hosting company. You actually do have to purchase those www.com names, and you use a domain registrar, say GoDaddy, or there's a whole bunch of them. Just go ahead and type in GoDaddy.com. I think it's like $9 to purchase it. Don't buy it from them without the coupon code. You can probably find one that'll take $3 off the cost. So you go ahead and you create.
If you're looking for a real cheap domain to get for yourself, if you don't really care about using this on business cards or anything, but you want something shorter than sites.google.com/this/that, .info are like what, $3 for a name or something?
They're up to $3 now. They used to be $2. They're slowly growing new extensions. So people don't usually like typing in 3 letters more than 3 letters at the end because they're used to .com, .org, .net. But the other thing that's starting to come up is there's a lot of different international or for an individual type of business. They now have their own extensions. So one of the new ones that are starting to come up is they're working on a .law. Just kind of interesting. So there's a lot of lawyer sites taking up a lot of good domain names. So I think you can purchase a .law now. So it's just kind of new. But you go ahead and you create a record of your site in your domain registrar. Go back to Google, tell Google the domain name, and then it would link it up for you. So it's pretty straightforward.
And for some of the settings you need to change on the registrar side, that is GoDaddy's side, there is a few things that need to change on there. We're not going to go over the demonstration now, but we're going to say, just call GoDaddy, use GoDaddy to make it, call GoDaddy, tell them I want to link my purchase name to my Google site, and they'll walk through the changes and they'll handle it on their side.
They're very helpful. Their customer support.
So just call them.
Yeah. So any overall questions or comments about Google Sites in general, or?
It's a little tough to grasp your mind around, but once you give it a try, make a website, try some of the features that you have within here. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to get going. Compared to some of the software I've worked with in the past for website design, like Dreamweaver, this is a walk in the park.
One last thing I want to show you guys under Manage Sites is the recent site activity. And what this will do is, if you click on it, it'll show you all the changes that people have gone in and edited, or any little tweak that's been made. So it'll say, John Smith created a new assignment, John Smith created this document, deleted this document. So it'll go through and show you all the changes that have been made to the entire site over the
And if you click on the title of the page for that edit, just click on one of those, Wes, and let's show everyone what. So you can go ahead and you can bring back that page by using Recover Page. There's a little button right on that page for yourself.
So they're really good about trying to make it easy for you. But yeah, that's about it for our green and blue little page there. Does anyone have any overall arching questions, any concerns that they have?
You gonna try making a website for yourselves now? It's not that hard. If you make a mistake, you can always go back and recover your deleted items and whatever you mess up on. So.
How do we go back and just delete what we've done? I mean, in other words, I created a page now, but I want to start over again. How do you do that?
Delete the entire site, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, go back into the general area, Wes. There's a delete button. Let's show her. No, you gotta go back in the site. No, not in the delete site. Go back into the website. Yep. Go into the more. Go into manage site. So a lot of these overarching, bigger functions are always under manage site. Keep that in mind. Under general, there should be a delete website button right there. Delete it. You can even copy it if you want to make a copy and build something fresh off of it. You can make a copy of that website for yourself.
And if for whatever reason you like the odd color scheme we have, you could also publish the site as a template and create a new one with the same color scheme. A lot of these sites that exist were actually created from another theme. Somebody's just gone in and modified. So when you're looking through the gallery, do you remember that at some point a lot of them were dramatically different? So it's a growing list of different types of templates you can use. And do remember that with Google, they're always adding new features and they're always adding new functionality. So this platform is only bound to become more powerful. But yeah, last time I'm going to ask, any additional questions? Alright.
Google Sites experts. That's what I like to see.
I hope that you guys do go ahead and create your own page, if not for yourself, for a business, or for hopefully a happy event. So thank you guys for coming.
If you have any questions later on down the road when you're making this, grab a business card. We put our contact info on the back of the agenda. You can reach out to us. I helped a library staff member here at Niles Library work on their website for their graduate program, so I can definitely help you out if you have any questions on down the road.
Quick reminder, of course we are having that recycling drive. If you are interested, please feel free to grab a flyer off the back table.
If you have any questions for any of us, just feel free to grab us before you leave. Other than that, thank you for coming, everyone. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Come back to our other classes. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up down the pipeline. And if you have any ideas for a class that you'd like to see here offered by us, feel free to send us a suggestion. We're always open and willing to hear what you guys want to learn about.
Please do a class on how to do Ubuntu or something along those lines.